What can the character Tyler Durden from the movie Fight Club teach us about the flow state? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the channel if you're new. My name is Sumit Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy. I'm a flow state specialist, so I help you feel your best and perform your best. Let's get started, man. So, Fight Club is one of the greatest movies of all time, okay? Especially when it comes down to understanding the different concepts and the Durdenism kind of philosophy that goes behind it. Because this character, spoiler alert, okay, if you haven't watched it, go watch it before watching this video, kind of a projection of the main character's mind, we've got to start to understand that this is like a subconscious reflection of his own shadow, okay? And I think that this is very, very important in terms of understanding the way that the main character is actually striking from his subconscious mind. Now, I want you to use this movie to teach you basically about the sense of freedom and ease with which Tyler Durden walks throughout the world. He's okay taking up physical space, emotional space, mental space quite literally through the movie, right? It doesn't change based on the different locations where he goes to. And you'll also notice that he immediately has a character change through different parts of the movie, right? He'll suddenly have a different costume, he'll suddenly have different hairstyle. We got to understand that that man is representative of this kind of fluid nature already, right? He's changing, he's constantly, shifting himself in a sense. He's not kind of put into a box. This character is like an antithesis of being put into a box or conforming to something, right? This is the rebel archetype that we're seeing. It's super paradoxical, I would say. He's like a walking paradox because he's wearing all these different, clothes and stuff that's kind of outside of the norm, and at the same time he's talking about anti-consumerism, right? He has a nice red jacket on, but he's talking about anti-consumerism. Now this is really important because he's not attached to the clothes that he's wearing. He's enjoying the thrill of actually showing up and being that boss. A lot of us grow up to be people pleasers and we're very polite, but I think Tyler's character is okay being the main character, being the center of attention. Actually, I would argue and say that Tyler's character is way more polite because he shows up, he's showing leadership, and the other characters are almost responding to that character, right? Are in effect to him. So he's giving people the experience to enjoy his persona, enjoy the show, sit back, they can relax, and experience his character for all that it could be. A lot of us, when it comes down to socializing, we put this kind of filter in our minds that, oh, is this person out of my league? Is this person have a higher status than me? Or, he has a better car than me? And we have all this comparison traps to other people in culture, right? But this kind of understanding very much so lowers the bar in the sense of who cares, what you're worth, or, how many dollars you have to your bank account. Let's fight and get on the mats and recognize how our physical bodies can handle this confrontation. When we've lived our lives being pussies, very sheltered, kind of in our own worlds, let's put ourselves into situations that break down the comfort zones or the walls of social conditioning so that we can pull through this animal primal masculine nature, the inner caveman that's been hidden for so long. Me and 3 friends, we ended up doing a fight club out of the blue based on the movie, just because it was quite fun. And I remember getting punched in the face for the first time, and it was an exhilarating feeling, man. It was so amazing. I don't know how to explain it really, but it just knocked some sense back into my life. I was like lost for a bit there, but then that experience got me to viscerally feel like this is danger, this is a threat. I got to do something with this energy, right? I got to make use of this energy. So we can learn a lot about social pressure from this character. I would say Tyler Durden teaches the modern man to become the uncarved block, to go beyond the social conditioning and all the labels and the consumerism, to live without rules and religion, regulare, right? Rules and regulations, and also against like kind of politics, bureaucracy, these kind of feel-good, chirpy, wishy-washy quotes that you see. This guy's a glitch. Okay, and literally in the movie you see him glitch, right? You see little moments where he's glitching in the background. He suddenly shows up in the narrator's kind of vision, right? So even when he's going to that place, that motivational self-help group seminar, seeing a bit of that glitch, right? And it's interesting, there's a lot of Easter eggs. Like when he looks at that sheet, it actually shows schizophrenics as well. There's a lot of like hidden stuff in the movie, like red herrings and stuff. I would say that Tyler is a representation of a voice in every man's head that is so annoyed with the modern world and the way things are going. I think every guy has this kind of voice in their head. We kind of know, but we need another man to be a leader and step up and shake us out of that sedation. It's like we're waiting for permission to crush it. You know, Tyler in the movie, he says so that I see potential in all of you, but I also see squandering. Okay, you're aimless, you're drifting. We understand already that the narrator's father bailed on him. He never had a male role model, and so Tyler became, I guess, his internal creation of his own alter ego, his male role model. True masculinity was never really on display to him. The idea of being emasculated as he goes to that group, you know, he gets this kind of distorted view of what masculinity is throughout his own life and living in his own bubble and comfort zone. But he had never really understood man being the force for good. Someone who protects and provides, someone who shows up and leads a tribe, right? Some would say this is a modernist, futurist fascism, and they like to put lots of words on these movies, right? Anti-consumerism, anti-this, anti-feminism, This guy's anti-everything, okay? He's just a walking glitch. That's how I describe this character, right? He's the type of man who embraces that kind of rebellious Promethean spirit, right? That Robin Hood type of character. That vigilante sense. Prometheus, by the way, means foresight, if you don't know the word origin. And it's kind of like Prometheus, the character in Greek mythology, almost gives me a kind of understanding of this Ubermensch archetype of like Gilgamesh. He's like the mix between an older brother and a dad, almost, in a sense, right? Because he has that kind of guidance system of like, he's your big brother, but then he's also fatherly in a sense where he's, you know, showing that strictness and care. And it's just kind of, you see a younger side and an older side kind of having this kind of dualism with this character, which is very, very powerful, I think, for the male psyche to understand and resonate with this kind of energy. So it's about showing resilience in the face of oppression, right? Tyler's character himself, as he's laughing, you know, at the chaos, as he's just getting punched in the face, he just keeps laughing. It reminds me of almost like a Joker type of character that he's creating, where the pain is actually exhilarating to him. And he's not afraid of it because he understands that he's in this Maya, this illusion. So besides him being a Joker in some kind of parallel universe, Tyler becomes this narrator's shadow archetype, male, dark, masculine archetype. He's emasculated by the modern world where he's working. Basically, the postmodern society has corrupted his soul. He claims to be an insomniac, and he seeks comfort in the self-help group that makes him feel, you know, misery loves company, so he's around these men who are a lot worse than him that makes him feel better about himself and his own ego, boost his own ego, right? But then Marla comes along in the self-help group, which I believe is the representation of the dark feminine. And that triggers him even more because that makes him feel emasculated even more as he sees Marla walk in. And Marla is like this energy of challenge, right? Now, one of my favorite scenes in this movie that I can relate very primarily to the flow state is the scene where Tyler Durden pours acid, or he has this chemical burn on the narrator's hands, okay? It's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything. Start to understand some of these quotes in the movie too, okay? So through these support groups, he's told to go on these guided visualizations in order to deal with his pain, okay? And in this scene, he keeps retreating to his cave, whereas Tyler tells him to knock it off, come back to the present moment, embrace the pain right now, embrace what is happening right now, stop running and avoiding your reality all the time. Stop escaping what is going on right now. Tyler basically slaps him out of this kind of trance or escapism that's happening. He says, nobody's gonna save you. Okay, you have to take responsibility. Now, as a man growing up, I've been very much in my own head and kind of lived my life primarily in my imagination and my fantasies. So I really resonated with this scene, and I started to understand long ago. I mean, when I first watched the scene, and now I'm starting to rewatch it and starting to understand as a man in his very late 20s, right? About how everything else is a distraction and the present moment is so important. We've got to be conscious and mindful and actually live through that present moment. The experience you're having right now watching this YouTube video is way better than those thoughts in the back of your mind are, oh, did I leave something in the microwave? Oh, I hope I closed this. Oh, I have my keys. I hope that... Okay, all of these other thoughts that seem to be distracting you, all these other tabs maybe you have open as you're watching this video, right? This video is way more pivotal and way more important than anything else that's going on. You get what I'm saying? For this exact moment. Now you could close the video, you can come back to it, that's fine. But start to understand the power of the present moment. If you're unfamiliar with certain books like Power of Now, okay, Surrender Experiment, books that bring you back to the now, instead of create this, ideology of constantly future projecting into the future or constantly going into the past to try to justify yourself. I have to feel and viscerally get a somatic sense of what I'm going through right now, not just close my eyes and go into my happy place. You get what I'm saying? And this is what a lot of men are doing. They're using escapism and numbing themselves through different things. I think one of the main philosophies that's going to help you understand the flow state in this movie is just to understand that you need very little in this life, man. You got to be grateful for what you have in order for you to gain more. You see, Tyler gets everything he wants, but he's not trying to get them. You see, he understands that this is all an illusion. Well, he is a projection of this character, so he does feel a little bit surreal as a character as he walks through this place, but even then, just start to understand that this badass trope is that dark masculine edge that we all fear in a sense, but that person tells the truth. That guy is a walking male polarity switch, right? The fact that he, points a gun at that Vietnamese store clerk, you guys remember that scene? Where he's telling him, what did you want to be? He said, I want to be a veterinarian or whatever. Basically, he tells him that you're going to be following your dreams or I'm going to threaten to kill you, right, in a sense. And I think that that's a fascinating scene because he wouldn't have done anything otherwise, to follow his dreams. But now he's getting pushed and the fear of his life is coming through, right? Like, I'm going to die if I don't follow my dreams. I'm always going to be the store clerk. But now there's actually a possibility that has opened up for him in his mind. Of course, it's from that Promethean or that foresight into the future where he's like, oh man, like I could die, and so I'd rather live my dreams than die, of course, right? It's basically making his decision making much easier by pointing, and this pointing a gun at your head mentality, you can actually do this with yourself, right? Like if someone had a gun pointed at you and they were like, clean your room, you do it, right? If someone had a gun pointed at you, go to the gym, you do it. Okay, so this life or death, it is all in the now. That kind of carpe diem, that stoic mentality is very prevalent through this movie, right? So you don't have to be forced to fit in some kind of template, bro. Also oppose nothing and everything, It's just like the idea in the movie itself doesn't mean that you have to kind of get inspired by the movie. And like a lot of people are looking at the wrong things in that movie, you get what I mean? Like they're like, oh yeah, that red jacket, I need that red jacket. Or they're like, oh yeah, Brad Pitt has abs and he's like 36 in the movie, so I'm gonna get abs or whatever, right? People are focused on the wrong things in that movie, man. They're all metaphors in that movie, right? You get that? It's like the very thing he talks against about are the things that people are obsessed about. He also mentioned in the movie that it's not important that as a man that you have a woman to survive, and I think that's a very, very bold statement to say. Now, of course, we gotta, appreciate, acknowledge, and respect women. That's where you came from, okay, bro? But to be able to just say that is like, wow, that's a very, very bold statement, you know what I mean? Especially in this modern context, to start to understand that. You know, Bruce Lee hated that his martial art was called by his philosophy because he felt very restricted around it, and I understand that. So, of course, you can't really break this guy down in terms of his philosophy because he has so much of it. I feel that if Tyler Durden was a real person, and again, shout out to Owen Cook, I guess, who tried to take on his persona and name himself Tyler, which I find kind of bizarre, but irregardless. Basically, you got to understand, Jeet Kune Do means the way of no way. And that's kind of what this mentality is. It's like he's taking from all of these different philosophies, primitivism, Nietzschean ideas, and just a lot of these different ideas all at once, right? And he's clustering them together to live and breathe through this badass character that we all kind of resonate with. Now, Tyler draws his state from within, which I think is very, very powerful to know. Okay, he's contained within his own bubble. I really think that these toxic kind of Sigma male characters that we're starting to see are the cause of a lot of people saying, I'm on my villain arc, bro. I'm on my villain mode. You know why? Because villains tell the truth. Villains have it actually easy in the movies, if you think about it. Not all of them, okay? Some have to climb a long way or whatever. We see their backstory. But the villain has this kind of cool, calm acceptance of the darkness, right? They're not afraid. I think we really need that fearlessness in society. That's why we're leaning into that more. It's like people are trying so hard to hold it all together that they're like falling apart. You get what I mean? It's like Fight Club says that men and women need each other for balance. Marla being the narrator's power animal in that scene. She is there to actually enlighten him like a Dakini, right? About his true hidden nature. And so again, there's a lot of different things about this movie that I think is very, very powerful. And I think we can all learn a lot from this movie when we can give ourselves the chance to express and experience this idea and concept. As I'm learning MMA from my trainer, who again, I don't really have any MMA classes here nearby, right, in where I'm staying right now. So I have this guy who's a gold medalist. He does like striking and BJJ and wrestling. He comes from like an hour away, bro, to come and teach me. Okay, so that's dedication towards teaching me, and I really have respect for that, because that, like, if you want something bad enough, you're gonna find a way to do it. You get what I mean? And that's what this philosophy and this understanding is really teaching me, to not only harden and toughen myself as a man towards whatever the world gives me, but I can become a fully fledged, free character in this video game of life with the luxury of choice to do what I want, when I want, with who I want, how I want. And I think that's the freedom that every man seeks. We're all seeking our own freedom, aren't we? Let's get it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you. Stay legendary. May you never be the same again. Os.